Hey guys, I'm Randy. I'm a Time Attack driver and a track day instructor, and this is my 1995 Mazda Miata. So this is obviously not a bone stock Miata. There's a lot going on here, but the party happens underneath the hood. This is the motor that came with the car, but things are a little different. This is a forged 1.8 liter, bored out to 1.9 if you're counting cubic centimeters. It is super tight pistons, manly rods, boundary oil pump, ARP hardware all the way throughout. The head's been ported and polished, the whole 9 yards. But that's not the fun bit. The fun bit is this Borg-Warner turbo. This is the EFR 6758. It's the second smallest Borg-Warner makes. That's the Kraken hot side, so they're downpipe, they're manifold, and it's full 3-inch all the way to the tip. And it makes 316 wheel horsepower. All that power runs through the MSM 6-speed and a 3.9 ratio rear end. So still stock axles, still stock drive shaft. It just goes. So this is not the first turbo setup this car has had. This is the second iteration. The first was an eBay GT28 turbo with a Bell Engineering manifold downpipe and intercooler piping. That's their little 2¼ inch downpipe that like to make peak boost at like $5 grand or something, or if it's spooled terribly. We still have their intercooler piping. It's lovely steel patina piping. This is not a SEMA build, but boy is she fast. For fuel, we are on E85 with a flex tune where we can run 93. We've got a Radium 300 liter per hour pump. We got a Radium rail with their fuel pulse damper, regulator, and gauge. And for injectors, we're on Injector Dynamics ID 1050X injector. So a ton of fuel coming through. Ignition is LS coils by Flow Force. We have a separate 36.2 trigger wheel, so we have separate trigger and home, which means we can get a little bit more ignition resolution. We've got a good bit of heat management going on in the engine bay because turbos make a ton of heat. So as you can see, almost all the vital lines have been reflective taped with gold heat tape. This is to stop the radiative heat from melting our brake master cylinder, various AN lines, heater core lines, our water lines, and our lovely Home Depot Racing turbo heat shield. It does the job, ladies and gentlemen, and it cost me all of $5. I don't know if you can tell, but this orange, it's a little hint that we've got some Super Miata Zetas going on. Truly, if you're doing track stuff with your Miata, it is hands down like the gold standard. There really isn't anything out there that you can get for the price points that performs as well as a Super Miata Zeta. Of course, these are on a little bit stiffer spring rates than you would see on the street, but still a very streetable coilover that performs very well on the track. So aside from the power, the other party with this car is the aero, or you can call it the ugly bit. This is a 9 Lives Racing aero kit. So that's their front, this is their front dam. This is their splitter template. It's a little bit larger than theirs, and their splitter end plates. It's a little beat up, it's a little rough around the edges, but hey, it's a race car. It gets used very thoroughly, and it has, as you know, with all race cars, they have their excursions. We've got a 9 Lives wing at the back with their CFD end plates and 1/2 inch gurney flap. These two elements kind of balance really nicely, especially with the dam to cut out some of that stock Miata lift that the front bumper makes naturally. Wheels and tires are Koenig 9.5 inch freeforms with Maxxis RC1 100 tread wear tires. These are my track day tires. Yes, they're semi-slicks, but they hold, they do what they're supposed to. They're great. With higher speed comes higher stop. So this is the Super Miata AFCO F88 brake kit. This uses an 11.75 diameter rotor, but a 1.25 inch thick rotor. So that gives us better heat dissipation, gives us better heat rejection, and still the higher braking torque of the other 11.75 kits on the market. Keeping the brakes alive in the front, we also have brake ducts. Yes, I have larger heat rejection, but you get a few of those braking events done and eventually they still crack. So adding brake ducts on the front of the dam here really increase the life of the rotors and the hubs exponentially. And again, this is just all off aircraft spruce. These are aircraft parts. You might be asking, how in the world do I get this on a trailer with a 5-inch splitter? Well, the answer is quite simple. It's quick release. So the whole front end, there's a button on either side, and 2 wing bolts. And the whole bumper comes right off. And that gives us clear access into the splitter, which is held on with 2 pitch pins. And off comes the splitter. So it's still a street car. Inside we've got carpet, door panels, radio, HVAC, the works. We got some Sparco Sprints, driver and passenger, with Stroth Flexi 2x2 harnesses. Never skimp on safety. Our speedometer doesn't work and our oil pressure gauge doesn't work, but it's okay, because it's a track car. We don't worry about that. Here we have a hard dog roll bar. This gives us some sort of rollover protection if we were to, God forbid, hit the sand trap sideways doing 100. So this interior is where the bulk of the improvements to this car need to be made. Safety is a huge concern, and given the closing speeds of other vehicles on the racetrack and the speeds this vehicle sees, I'm gonna put a cage in this thing. So the most important aspect of any Miata is, do the pop-ups work? And yes, the pop-ups do in fact still work.